Hi, it's Jane Slacksmith here. Now, you found a property and someone said to you, did you get a pest and building inspection? And you're kind of half in the mind whether you should do that or not. Look, I really encourage you to do that. An inspection from a builder is about $500. A pest inspection is about $250. However, there's some things that you need to know. And having bought many properties, I can tell you time and time again, my pest and building inspections has saved me many a time over. So first, there's 5 things I want to share with you about your property inspection and how to get the most value for it and save a little bit on cost. First and foremost, the real estate agent is trying to sell the property. They're not necessarily your friend. So when they say that they've got a mate who can get out quickly to do an inspection for you, remember that that mate's allegiance is to the real estate agent. And really they're probably depending on the real estate agent to get future work. So you can imagine that they're kind of going to have a clouded perception of what that inspection report should be, which is everything's fine and you should buy. So bear in mind, get an independent building inspector to look at your property. Now that means that you should probably have done the research initially and you know who you're going to call, or you've done some quotes against 2 or 3 people so that you can get someone out there ASAP as soon as your letter of offer has been accepted. Secondly, I encourage you to actually go with the building inspector through the building. Now, I've done this many times and I get so much value from it. Actually, walking with the building inspector through the building gives you the opportunity to say, so there is some evidence here of termite damage. Is it going to cost me a lot to fix that up? Now, they do this every day and they have an effective knowledge of the building industry and they probably quote on it as well. So they could probably say it's probably going to cost you 10 grand to fix it up, which is a good thing if you can actually fix it up for less, or you can negotiate the $10,000 off the purchase price. So it becomes a negotiation tool. In addition to that, I would say you should, number 3 big tip is to leave the real estate agent at the door. You are paying for this report. You are paying for the building inspector. Now, time and time again, I have seen real estate agents go through with a building inspector and, the building inspector says there's nothing really wrong. You've then lost your opportunity to negotiate, and the building inspector, is going to share some information. The real estate agent can say to prospective other people who are buying the property, hey, I was with the building inspector yesterday and he said everything's fine. Now, you've paid $500 for that. Do you really want to be giving that information away? And from a personal perspective, we actually did that once and we wanted to get out of the contract because we had found something better elsewhere. We did have that, we had an acceptable pest and building inspection as a clause in our letter of offer, and we decided that we wanted to get out of it. However, the building inspector had taken the real estate agent through with them, and I didn't follow my own advice and I wasn't there. So when we rang up to say we weren't really happy with the inspection, we wouldn't be going ahead with the sale, the real estate agent then started really drilling us to why, because he went through with the inspector and there was no problems. So keep the real estate agent at the door is my advice. Number 4 is you can actually save a little bit of money. Now, you can do this in a number of ways. I know many building inspectors who are happy to run through the building and have a look at it and give you a verbal feedback, but the hours of filling in the paperwork and putting all the photos together and everything is a bit of a pain. Hence you pay the $500. Often you could possibly negotiate $250 or half the price of their inspection report by actually getting a verbal inspection from them, which is probably all you really need anyhow, because of all the disclaimers. There's not a lot of recourse if they do get it wrong and you do find something wrong with the property. My 5th tip is use your report as a negotiation tool. Now, I know in Sydney, with a lot of properties I bought in Sydney, I've never seen a building inspection or pest inspection that hasn't shown evidence of past termites. It's the live active ones you're worried about, but the damage that the past termites have done. So in actual fact, most reports always look bad to start with. So don't be put off. But the thing is, you actually have the opportunity to go back to the vendor and say, this report came up with all of these works and issues that we have. Now, my very first property that I bought in 2001, the building inspection came up with over $50,000 worth of works that possibly had to be done, including rebuilding verandas, etc. Now, they weren't works that we ever did subsequent to actually buying the property. We did maintenance on the property that was necessary to keep the property viable as a rental and then a home, but they weren't real necessary things. But the report read so badly, and it was an opportunity for us to actually go in after the auction as the highest bidder and negotiate. So you can use your report as a tool. And here's a bonus one for you. You might actually speak to a real estate agent and say, has someone else done a property inspection? And they may have. In that case, you might say, look, I'm happy to give $250 to that person for a copy of the inspection report. Now, imagine how you'd feel. You just paid $500 for the report and someone's offering to give you half the money back. So it might be something that you consider as well. Anyhow, I hope this has helped you. Pest and building reports and property inspections, in my mind, especially for houses, are an absolute no-brainer. For units, you might want to look at the body corporate strata reports first and see if there's any evidence of issues, because it's a lot harder for inspectors to look at information. But, it's up to you. I think it's a bit of a no-brainer, and you should just spend your money and get these reports done if you're serious about buying a property.